Hello, this is Radio Afternoon News. First, here are the headlines. The United Nations Humanitarian Air Service has announced a temporary suspension of all flights to and from northern Jonglei State effective January 2nd, 2026, disrupting a key lifeline for humanitarian operations. The Commissioner of Bor County in Jonglei State has confirmed that the leader of the Red Belt Vigilant Group has been transferred to Juba by the South Sudan People's Defense Forces after surrendering to the army on Sunday. And the family of Minister of Labour James Hodmai has secured a leg of victory in Australia after a court overturned the seizure of their home and vehicles in Melbourne, according to Australian media. This is stories and more coming to you in the news bulletin with me, Wol Mapal. Now the news in detail. The United Nations Humanitarian Air Service has announced a temporary suspension of all flights to and from northern Jonglei State effective January 2nd, 2026, disrupting a key lifeline for humanitarian operations. In a formal letter shared with partner organizations on Saturday, January 3rd, Hanhas expressed regret over the disruption, citing operational limitations as the reason for suspending their flights. The decision has halted critical air transport services to several remote locations, including Akobo, Lankian, Motot, Piri, Wat, Walgak, and Ui. The suspension comes amid continued fighting between government forces, SPLA-IO, and the Allied White Army militia, which has escalated in recent weeks. Anhas warned that the move is expected to affect the delivery of essential supplies and the movement of humanitarian personnel operating in the affected areas. The agency said Hanhas remains a vital lifeline for non-governmental organizations and United Nations agencies working in northern Jonglei, where road access is often limited due to insecurity and seasonal weather conditions. According to the statement, the suspension will remain in place until further notice. Hanhas said it will continue to closely monitor the situation and will inform partners once flight operations can safely resume. The Commissioner of Bor County in Jonglei State has confirmed that the leader of the Red Belt Vigilant Group has been transferred to Juba by the South Sudan People's Defense Forces after surrendering to the army on Sunday. Speaking to Harare this morning, Commissioner Samuel Atanpech said Lake Mamir Lake was transferred from Bor to Juba yesterday under the custody of the SSPDF. The transfer follows an announcement by the Commissioner during a church service on New Year's Day, in which he said Lake and members of his group had been pardoned. Confirming Lake's arrival in the capital, Atany said the Red Belt leader is currently at the SSPDF headquarters in Juba. However, he said it remains unclear whether Lake surrendered in response to the pardon or an early call by the Chief of Defense Forces ordering the group to surrender.
Verifying the report that in fact the Red Belt leader surrender is now in the headquarters of the SSPDF in Juba. So that is confirmed. He is the one to realize whether he was responding to the harmony that was given by the or he was responding to the call that was previously announced by the CDF that time that he should surrender to the nearest army headquarters. But he is present in the army headquarters is concerned. But the detail of why he surrendered is the one to tell.
Commissioner Atany said the surrender is expected to restore security and ease social tensions that have been witnessed in recent months following clashes between the Red Belt Group and security forces in September last year. He called on residents to remain calm and urged security forces to ease their operations now that the group's leader has surrendered.
The move is the excellent move that the government of Jonglei State would appreciate. The calm now will return to the town, and we shall be physically living in the town in the head that it agrees. For this month and the previous month were month of crisis, atrocities, and the misunderstanding, a lot of sexual arguments. Now the chapter is closed. We shall be opening a new chapter, and we shall be focusing on the external issues of the security, not the internal one. So I do appreciate the Red Belt leader.
The Red Belt group, whose members wear green distinct attire and describe themselves as a community-based vigilant force, came into the public spotlight in September last year after violent clashes with security forces in Bor Town, the capital of Jonglei State. Several people, including members of the security forces and the group itself, were killed during the clashes. Following the violence, Jonglei State authorities accused the group of anti-government activities and deployed heavy security forces to crack down on it. The Chief of Defense Forces, General Paul Nang Majok, later ordered the group to integrate into the army, but the group failed to respond. He subsequently declared the Red Belt a rebel force, leading to further military operations in Bor Town after the army said it confiscated weapons and other military equipment linked to the group during security searches in Juba. The family of Minister of Labour, James Hothmai, has secured a legal victory in Australia after a court overturned the seizure of their home and vehicles in Melbourne, according to Australian media. The family has now regained ownership of the $1.5 million property, which was originally confiscated by Victorian authorities in 2017. The property, which was first purchased in 2014, was returned to the family after the Victoria County Court ruled in favor of the applicants on December 23rd. In 2017, officers from the Australian Federal Police sought restraining orders over the 5-bedroom house located in Narre Warren as well as at Audi car. At the time, the court found that there were reasonable grounds to suspect that the assets were the proceeds of a crime. Court documents indicate that the house and car were registered in the names of Minister James Hothmai's son and daughter. The court was also told that neither General Mai, his wife, nor their children have ever been charged with any offences in Australia or overseas. According to the reports, the minister's family arrived in Australia on humanitarian visas in the early 2000s. In a brief telephone interview with iRadio, Minister James Hothmai welcomed the court's decision, stating that the ruling finally puts an end to the allegations levelled against his family. Elsewhere, the Minister of Information in Unity State says calm has been restored at the internally displaced people's camps in Bentiu Town after clashes between the army and the SPLA-IO forces yesterday. Minister Nyakenya Johannes Kia said the shooting broke out last evening between SPLA-IO and SSPDF forces stationed at the civilians protection site, and the cause of the confrontation remains unclear. She stated this morning that the security situation has been brought under control and plans are in place to visit the site later today to gather facts. Minister Nyakenya spoke to iRadio in an exclusive interview from Unity State this morning.
These things began on Saturday, and they continued yesterday. And then in the evening, that is what the incident that occurred in the Unimis camp happened. It was not desirable, but at least the SSPDF managed to push them out, those IO forces that were attacking. In the night, everything was normal because, there was a security deployment around the city. So currently in the morning, things are okay, but we're going to visit the site shortly. There was a deployment done long time ago within the POC. Both the soldiers from IO and also SSPDF. They have been stationed there for quite some time, and then when these dramas occurred the other day, that's when now they started, this tension. And then in the night, these IO forces started shooting at the SSPDF, and then now SSPDF did not want any war or any conflict happening within the POC site. That's when they pushed them out now, and they ran into the water. Some of them were even captured.
She said Unity State is committed to restoring full order and providing safety and support to civilians seeking to refuge at the Bentiu POC site.
Yeah, I want our people in the POC to know that the government of Unity State loves them. They are actually the first priority because there is no government without its people. So they are the people that the government is ready to serve. They should know that the government will protect them, will provide the security that they need, just like it had happened yesterday after the incidences. There is a deployment, and we are assuring that everything is going to be well. And then they should keep trusting their government. Their government is here and ready to serve them at all their respective places. So let them calm down and let them know that everything is under control.
A spokesperson for the SSPDF and SPLA Iowa forces have not yet commented or issued an official statement regarding the incident. This is IRD Afternoon News. Finally, before regional international stories, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Atong Wol Mapal, this morning met with the Commissioner General of the South Sudan Revenue Authority, William Wol, to discuss ways of improving trade facilitation across the country. The meeting focused mainly on the one-stop border post project, which is funded by the European Union and implemented by the United Nations Office for Project Services. Under the arrangement, the Minister of Trade and Industry will lead the supervision of the project in close coordination with the South Sudan Revenue Authority and other relevant government institutions. The discussion followed the approval of the project design and modern market initiative, allowing the ministry to engage key stakeholders involved in implementation. William Wol thanked the minister for the meeting and reaffirmed the Revenue Authority's commitment to supporting the project. He said the institution is ready to back initiatives aimed at acing trade procedures and improving cross-border trade. In a response, Minister Wol Mapal appreciated the Commissioner General's cooperation and participation. Now to the regional international stories. Here is Dikodi Andrew.
And for the international news, armed men have violently stormed a village in Niger State, killing at least 30 people and looting shops, state authorities have said. The attackers emerged from a forest near a village in Deja on Saturday and set fire to the local market, looted shops and kidnapped an unspecific number of people, police said. Attacks and kidnappings by armed criminal gangs known as bandits have been a problem in Nigeria for a few years, but reports in western and central region have sparked recently. Elsewhere, 2 prominent student activists in India have been denied bail after being held in prison for more than 5 years without trial. India's Supreme Court on Monday rejected pleas for Omar Khalid and Sajaral Imam, who were arrested after 2020 Delhi riots. Police accused them of conspiracy to engage in deadly clashes in the capital that killed 53 people, mostly Muslims. They were held under strict anti-terror laws that make bail difficult. Finally, Donald Trump has warned Venezuelans' new leader, Delcy Rodriguez, she could pay a very good big price, probably bigger than the metro, if she doesn't do what's right. His comments of a U.S. magazine, The Atlantic, came as the country's despot, President Nicolas Maduro, was set to appear in New York court on Monday. The U.S. accused Maduro, who is charged with the drug trafficking and weapons offense, of running narco-terrorist regime, a claim he denies. For iRadio, I was Dikodi Andrew. Thank you for listening.
And to the world of sports, we are joined live by Darlington Moses.
In the world of sport, we are starting with home news. The South Sudan Football Federation's Mr. Francis Amin was featured prominently during the FIFA Association's committee discussions. The official FIFA Association's committee meeting focused on collaborating to advance the development of football in South Sudan. Meanwhile, on Sunday afternoon at the Moulay Abdallah Stadium in Rabat, Morocco, the Atlas Lions clinched a 1-0 win over Tanzania. With the result, they secured their place in the quarterfinals of the AFCON 2025. The match was notable for the return of Achraf Hakimi to the starting lineup, while it was Brahim Diaz who proved to be the match winner for his side. In today's Egypt will take on Benin at 6 p.m. and Nigeria will play Mozambique at 9 p.m. later. In some development from the England Premier League, Manchester United have sacked Ruben Amorim as the head coach. Amorim was appointed in November 2024. According to media report, Darren Fletcher will take over an interim basis. Enzo Fernandez scored a stoppage time equalizer as Chelsea ended a tumultuous week by claiming a deserved Premier League point, a title chasing Manchester City. Callum McLaurin, usually Chelsea's under-21 coach, has taken charge of the first team on an interim basis following the departure of Enzo Maresca on Thursday. And Declan Rice scored twice as Premier League leaders Arsenal came from behind to beat Bournemouth. Ghana's centre-back Gabriel played a blind pass across his box to give Evanilson the opening goal for the Cherries, but he made up for that with the equalizer as he lashed in a rebound after Gabriel Martinelli's shot had been blocked. And finally, Bournemouth had chances to go ahead, but Rice sought from the edge of the box from Martin Odegaard's layoff gave Arsenal the lead. The England midfielder, back from a knee injury, netted again following a cutback by substitute Bukayo Saka. This is all in the world of sport, and back to you, Wol Mapal, in the studio.
Thank you, Darlington Moses, for the sport updates. And to end this bulletin, here is a quick recap of our headlines once again. The United Nations Humanitarian Health Service has announced a temporary suspension of all flights to and from northern Jonglei State effective January 2nd, 2026, disrupting a key lifeline for humanitarian operations. The Commissioner of Bor County in Jonglei State has confirmed that the leader of the Red Belt Vigilant Group has been transferred to Juba by the South Sudan People's Defense Forces after surrendering to the army on Sunday. And finally, the family of Minister of Labour James Hodmai has secured a legal victory in Australia after a court overturned the seizure of their home and vehicles in Melbourne, according to Australian media. That is the end of iRadio News. If there is a story or an event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at 1/2 the hour. I am Wol Mapal, wishing you Happy New Year. Thanks for listening. Till next time. Goodbye.